feminist out there who's also identifying as a futurist, we've got a huge bit of hypocrisy that I really am feeling inspired to call out. So we have a lot of people who claim to be feminists and think that like the fix to every problem is just put a woman in charge. Let's do it the same way we've been doing it, but just with someone with an extra X chromosome in charge, and now everything's fixed and we call it a day. No, it's not how it works. The tech conversation infuriates me because we have a bunch of dudes with their toys and they want to see how far they could take their toys. Think of the male genitalia, right? It sticks out. They penetrate it. They want to explore new territory. Everything is how far can I drive, quote unquote, progress forward, right? And so now we're being held hostage by these psychotic techno-fascists who claim you have no choice. This is already happening. Tech is happening. We don't have a choice except to buckle up and go along. And it's like, okay, but that's the unchecked masculine just doing the unchecked masculine thing instead of bringing in the feminine to pause and be like, is this what we want to do? Is this the best thing for humanity? Is this going to serve the greater good to do this? That would be bringing the feminine into the conversation, not a person with a vagina in to tell us we don't have a choice. We have to drive our tech forward. That is not feminism. That is not the return of the divine feminine. And the divine feminine is fully absent from this conversation. So I'm going to read us a little bit from the language of betterarchy to understand why. This is from the section when I'm talking about masculine, feminine, as far as the polarities, right? Think the Hermetic axiom. I'm not talking about embodied dudes and women. I'm talking about the polarities themselves. So reason and logic are functions of the left brain and are thus decidedly masculine, just as emotion and intuition are right brain functions and are quintessentially feminine. One of the ways our culture has historically elevated the masculine and devalued the feminine is by consistently and imperiously deferring to reason and logic while dismissing emotion and intuition as irrelevant, while shaming and disparaging their expression and esteem. The effects of privileging the masculine polarity over the feminine are rampant and insidious because, like language itself, they shape our perceptions and the meaning we make of our experience at a fundamental level, thereby distorting our worldview accordingly. Masculine materialism has blinded us to the veracity, value, and relevance of anything and everything that cannot be seen, touched, tasted, measured, or peer-reviewed. While physics has proven that 99% of what we call reality is contained within the invisible spaces between objects and atoms, masculine dominance has us denying the validity of anything we cannot see, weigh, or measure. And so it is that ancient healing modalities like acupuncture, Ayurveda, and herbalism are dismissed as pseudoscientific nonsense. Practitioners and adherents are mocked as woo-woo nut jobs because the masculine doesn't just privilege the material over the unseen, it denigrates those who believe differently in its shadowy attempts to protect its dominance and perceived superiority. And now the next section is entitled Bigger, Faster, More versus Wise, Humane, Compassionate. The imbalance between the masculine and the feminine can be seen in our race to innovate more, bigger, and better technology without pausing to consider or dialogue about whether it is in our species' best interests to produce and employ these so-called advances. Culture's overemphasis on forward-driving progress has us skipping the part where we consider whether things like nuclear bombs, self-driving cars, and smart-chipped automated everything serve the best interests of the people and the planet, and not just the egos and net worth of the shareholders. The bias that has us unconsciously favoring the masculine over the feminine can be seen in our race to colonize other planets, weaponize space, and take joyrides to the outermost reaches of the atmosphere, while millions of Earthlings go to sleep hungry every night. The masculine is focused on innovating, achieving, and moving technology forward, while the feminine is inclined to care for the well-being of the whole and knows that while innovation and technological progress have their place, safeguarding the collective's most basic needs takes priority over this kind of achievement.